Fitzpatrick Hotel's Cork 20 International Rally is one of the oldest events on the Irish motorsporting calendar. And this year, it's also the final round of the Dunlop Tarmac Championship. Although the championship winners have already been decided, there's nothing second-hand about the healthy entry of over 100 crews, and it's refreshing to see a number of new faces in the top 20 seeds. James Cullen and Ellen Morgan bring their Group N Escort Cosworth to Cork with a chance of adding the runner-up spot in the Dunlop Series to their Group N title, so the sun is shining on the Four Lanterns Escort.
We prefer if the sun wasn't shining, actually. Would actually suit the Group N car better if it had been wet and that, but it's a long day yet, you never know what will happen. If it's wet, it closes down the braking distances and it's easier on the car. Being a Group N car, standard production based on that, most of the parts are standard, so the strain on them is much greater in the dry.
Of course, an unusual position for a Group N car to be seated number one.
Yes, I think it's probably the first time in this country anyhow, and we will have a difficult task, I think, in staying there.
James may be number one, but Frank Marr is the hot favourite.
It should be a great event. Hopefully it dries out a little bit, but we're not too worried either way.
The car's looking in great shape. How's it going?
Well, it's a lot better since the Manx. We've done a lot of work on it in the last 2 weeks. Hopefully it will be... We haven't got a chance to test on the stage, but hopefully it will be better than ever it was.
Stephen, looking fit and well, looking forward to it?
Yeah, looking forward to it, all right, Gary. We did a fairly good recce, and hopefully everything goes well with the car. We're really looking forward to it, all right.
And seated at number 3, is that the highest you've been seated in the event?
Not in any event. It's certainly in international, yes, it's the highest we've been seated. I suppose our win in Wexford for the third time was a dominating factor for that, you know. So, yeah, we're very pleased. Hopefully we can live up to it now.
And of course you're going to get some good pictures for us, aren't you?
I hope they're all the right kind of ones now, that they're not through a ditch or something.
As well as the 3 favourite Fords, there's plenty of other interesting entries to keep the Cork fans happy. But sadly, 2 local heroes, Donald O'Donovan and Liam McCarthy, will not even make it to the starting line.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 150.
The Saturday stages are north of Macroom, and Stephen Murphy and the Statoil Sierra takes us on our Cork adventure with Joe Deacon navigating.
20. 2 left. 20.
Cautious Cullen jolts the opposition into stunned amazement by taking 5 seconds out of everyone on stage 1. Frank Maher is not so impressive here. Although he's still second fastest, Bob Fowden's Group A Escort Cosworth is next in the order. And here's a sensation. Canturk's Liam O'Callaghan lies 4th in only his second outing in the ex-Edda Nolan Sierra. Stephen Murphy takes us through the same junction in his Sierra. John Price is trying. Though he's not the fastest Metro, that honour goes to Patter Herson. And here's the stylish Derek Smith. But for outright spectacle in a Mark II Escort, you turn to the other Smith, Connie. More entertainment comes in the 2-litre class from the Molly Maguires. Niall Maguire survives to continue, as does Eugene Megan. But he loses a lot of time as Tom Murphy goes through. Eddie Torrance is the sole Subaru representative in Cork as we move on to stage 2.
The top seeds are already falling like flies. Look out for the ditched Mike Patterson coming up on the right. The Buckler-backed Escort is again fastest on stage 2, just 2 seconds quicker than Bob Fowden's Group A example. Frank Marr's Duckham Sierra is a further 6 seconds adrift. That's not what we expect from the Tipperary driver. Dennis Cronin and Stephen Harris can't hope to compete in these conditions with two-wheel drive, but neither is known to be faint-hearted. Back inside Murphy's Sierra, things are not going well. The Wexford Rally winner has an electrical problem, leaving him way off the pace. Fury, the third test in the Saturday loop, and again the Donegal driver is fastest. It's an incredible pace for a Group N car and demoralising for the opposition, particularly Frank Marr, who's 4 seconds back again. He admits to being off form. Bob Fowden, like many other drivers, has been hampered by a misting up windscreen. And Stephen Harris is almost throwing his Opel engine sunbeam off the road. But here's the local success story. Liam O'Callaghan, the son of the legendary Paddy O. He's third fastest on Fury. 2FM radio reporter John Kenny is announcing the notes for Mick O'Leary. Sligo rally winner Peter Herson's in 5th place, the leading Metro. But Williamson's in trouble. We're only 2 miles into stage 3, so this puncture has got to be changed. Each car that passes means another 30 seconds wasted. It's almost a repeat of Rob Barry's problems on the Isle of Man, as the jack doesn't work. Manpower is employed to manipulate the spare into place. It's a frustrating 3 minutes later before that car number 44 resumes its progress up the stage. But back at the start, Stephen Murphy and Joe Deacon are about to be an even bigger bother. The turbo has now blown in the Sierra, and Joe must disconnect the oil feed pipe if they're going to continue.
Pull it, yeah, we'll pull it.
Unfortunately, in doing so, he smashes the wipers, so now they've no power and no vision. Sierra crew, it's now mission impossible. The day's been a chapter of disasters. At Macroom's service, the Carlo driver takes up the story.
All in all, I'd say we've dropped about 15 minutes, and we feel that there's little point in going any further. What we were after wasn't the 5th, 6th place position. It was really in the top 2, 3, you know. So we feel that there's little point in burning up petrol and tyres and everything else and putting the car through a lot of work. So we've just pulled out.
So Bob, what sort of a start have you had to the rally?
Everything's gone all right. In fact, the car's improved from what it was in Wexford 2 weeks ago. We've sorted the engine out. The car's been going very well. We were second after the second stage, but unfortunately the heated front screen stopped working on the last stage. We had a problem and it demisted and we lost 10 seconds, so unfortunately we're down to third now. But other than that, the car's going very well, the notes are working well, the stages are good, and it's the type of driving conditions I like. Everything's going very, very well.
Frank Maher starts the second loop, determined to rebuild his reputation. The Supermax Sierra is flying. Sadly, Bob hadn't sorted out the engine, and the Escort will shortly retire with engine maladies. Dennis Cronin, flying here, will be delayed with a puncture on stage 5. And Padder Herson is another who's had visibility problems caused by a misting windscreen. Luke McCarthy battles to gain traction on the treacherous tarmac in his two-wheel drive Sierra Cosworth. But suddenly, there's a gap. There's been a big accident up the road, and it's one of the top runners. Frank Maher and Gareth O'Callaghan have had a mighty accident. Thankfully, both survived to tell their tales.
Well, we're flat in fifth. Small bump in the back that we kicked out, and we just clipped the rock on the left-hand side and threw the car and slid for about 100 yards, rolled it twice, I think, and landed up on its roof.
Any idea what speed you were doing?
At least 100 anyway. I mean, we're pulling flat in fifth, through a couple of kinks, and it was very quick. Car went on fire then.
It seems very fortunate that you're both in one piece.
Yeah, we're lucky enough. There's some big trees there on the right-hand side, but we got away. Car stood up to it very well. We're very happy that we came out of it without a scratch.
Gareth, what do you remember about all this?
Well, I had my head down at the time, and I remember him shouting, and I looked up. At that stage, the back had gone, and all I remember then was we clipped the rock and she started rolling, and I think all hell broke loose then. It like as if it just went on forever, you know. And I think both of us agree that I think all we both remember going through our heads was not a tree, anything with a tree. As long as she keeps rolling, she'll stop. But it was a fright, horrible.
And the conditions are still horrible as James Cullen and Ellen Morgan arrive at the end of stage 6. Following Frank's fright, they now have a 1 minute 20-second lead over the rest. Liam O'Callaghan and James O'Brien are up to second, with 6 of the 9 Saturday stages completed. Herson has been trying, as that damaged front spoiler shows, and he's now third. And James McDade in the BMW M3 is under pressure from the closing Pete Doughty. The Nottingham driver is rapidly climbing the leaderboard. Stephen Harris is third in the 2-litre Clubman's class, but suffering from exhaustion. Martin Daly can always be expected to put up a good showing in his local stages as we move back to Macroom for the second service halt and a chance to catch up with the gossip.
Padder, seems to be going well for you.
Not going too bad now, Plum. That last stage there, we were held up towards the end. Bob Foden had a blown turbo, I think it was. We couldn't see the road. We had to stop 3 times. I think we lost about 12, maybe 15 seconds. But the car's going a lot better now. We changed the tyres the second loop to wets, and it feels a lot better and go a lot harder. But we're still getting nothing with this Cullen man. Liam O'Callaghan's going very hard as well.
We had a problem with the wipers on the first loop of stages, but an amusing story. We had the forward wiper was giving trouble, and naturally enough we're Toyota dealers, so we whipped the wiper off a Toyota, and it's working perfectly ever since. So you can't beat the Japanese.
Niall Maguire, what were you up to?
Well, when I come down the stretch, Anthony called me a 150 flat, and I didn't lift. And next thing then, when I come onto the shiny tower, I braked, and she just took off from me. So then I had to let her go sideways and pull the handbrake, keep her drifting.
And is this the official excuse?
Well, I have to blame the navigator for this time, you know. But I have it well warned for the second time.
I said 150, no word of flat. I said 150 hairpin right. And he kept on going. By the time he looked for brakes, I think it was too late.
And where there's a Maguire, there's a red light.
You enjoy this lying under rally cars?
Well, I don't know how it is, but every time I see you, I seem to be laying under one for some reason. You think you were laying back waiting on me somewhere, waiting on me to do it.
And so the status quo remains for the rest of the day. The pressure has eased now on Cullen as he switches back to cautious mode, but still completes the Saturday stages with a 1.5 minute advantage over the rest.
Sunday and the downpour continues. There are 10 stages on the second day of the Fitzpatrick's Hotel's Cork 20 International Rally, and they will be 10 long tests for the Four Lanterns escort, which must be nursed towards victory. Liam O'Callaghan can't be complacent in second place, as there is now a mighty battle going on between the Kanturk driver and the man from Warren Point. Herson has closed the gap to 11 seconds as he charges through Roberts Cove. Pete Doughty and Lynn Jenkins now have their visiting Sierra up to 4th place, but he's over 2 minutes behind the Metro. But it's the chasing Metros behind him that he has to watch out for. Full Price, seen here, is being led by Half Price. For the first time in the Welsh family's history, Father John Price is being led by his son Stephen in car number 16. Luke McCarthy continues to lead the two-wheel drive road. And Niall Maguire is the leader of the 2-litre class, less than 2 minutes behind him. Then it's Mickey Farrell in his two-wheel drive Sierra. And Derek Smith completes the top 10 in his Cosworth-engined Mark II Escort. 90 right, calls John Kenny. You mean left, says Mick O'Leary. And there's not much left of the concrete post. As if there was a contract from the council to demolish this eyesore. White comes close. Shaw comes even closer. And Downey comes very, very close indeed. But Ericsson gets down to the demolition job in earnest. Nobly and ably assisted by Kelly, who headbutts the offending object. Stinson attempts to join the party. But Lenihan gets on with the job with a stylish tail swipe. Now all that's left is the signpost. Not another Downey. No, the post Mr. Downey was supposed to stay.
Well, James, holding the lead fairly comfortably. What's it been like today?
Wet, wet, wet. I think just really sum it up. It's the stages are actually getting towards a bit iffy there now. That there's so much standing water and water running down the road everywhere, and it's not pleasant being first car on the road and that, I can tell you.
Well, it obviously helps with tyre choice.
It does. There's no question what to put on. The wettest tyres you can possibly get. We just can't get narrow enough ones now to suit the conditions, but it's the same for everyone. But it's particularly annoying to do the last stage there. We cleaned it by 43 seconds, like, and you're risking the car and the lead in those sort of conditions, and it's all for nothing. You know, I think they sort of need to have a wee bit of a look at that for the next time.
Ellen, from a co-driver's point of view, do you have more problems with these conditions? Because presumably the recce wasn't done in anything like this.
No, certainly the water where it's lying, where you can see it, it's not a problem. But it's when it's round the corner and you can't see it, and it wasn't there during the recce. So we're meeting the unexpected the whole time.
Well, that's a big lump of motor stuck in the back of this 6R4. How's it been going today?
It's been going fairly well for us. This morning we had the fastest time on the first stage, and we have a couple of the fastest times since that. We had a spin on the second last stage on one of the junctions, and we had a bit of an off and lost some time there. But apart from that, we're going not too bad.
Well, what about this battle for second? Can you get there?
Well, I think at the minute there's 6 seconds between me and Liam, so we're going to keep the pressure on and see what happens.
Right, gentlemen, a little bit of explaining to be done here. What happened?
Yeah, we've a slight bit of damage to the back of the Escort. We were just going into or coming out of a K right, going into another K left, and this back end hold, the back end went. Thankfully, it just nudged us into safety, because I think we would have gone into a ditch otherwise.
So what was the problem? Was it driver or was it bad note calling?
I would blame the navigator. It was on his side.
Both,
Definitely on the navigator's side. Our conditions are just horrendous out there altogether. We just hit a water patch and shot across the road. We were lucky, never stopped at all, just kept going, running on up the road.
Worse is to come. It's back to the stages, and the event is particularly important in the clubman's classes. Tommy MacDonald and Paddy Toner fend off the similar sunbeam of Camillus Bradley and Charlie Beattie to take the 1600cc clubman's class in the championship. Connie Smith's ever-excellent style is not only fabulous to watch, but it's also effective. And although Niall Maguire beats the Cavan man this weekend, Connie takes his championship class. But for Fintan McGrady, there's late disaster when he crashes on the last stage and loses his championship class.
Robert McGimpsey has led the Dunlop Historic Championship for most of the year, but his obvious problems in Cork give the series to last year's champions Mervyn Johnston and the Fraser family. The historic honours in Cork actually go to Sean Campbell and David Gray in their beautiful Mark I Lotus Cortina. With Desi Nutt and Elkin Robinson in second place in the Coleraine Doctors Cooper S.
Concentration and caution are the key words from James Cullen and Ellen Morgan now, with just 3 stages to go to a historic victory.
Care, flat left and crest into 90 right. Flat right. 20. Cut flat right. Concentrate. 20. Keep right over crest. 20. Flat left.
Just a little ticking off for the Donegal driver from Ellen Morgan. Liam O'Callaghan is not so much racing to catch Cullen, although that would be nice, but to fend off the hard-charging Herson. That little overshoot didn't help matters much, but it's been an epic battle all weekend. Hatter has put everything into the Sunday stages and closed quite dramatically on the Sierra at one point, but he must eventually settle for third. Fourth place goes to Pete Doughty and Lynn Jenkins in an excellent first showing on Irish tarmac. And half price, Stephen, is over the moon about beating full price, John, for the first time since he's moved up to the Metro. Luke McCarthy and David Hogan are 7th. They're the first 2-wheel drive car home. Derek Smith and Paddy Flanagan take a highly commendable 8th place in the Ashgrove Escort. There's a class victory and 9th overall for the Molly Maguires, Niall Maguire and Anthony Donnelly.
And Seamus Murphy and Hugh Donnelly take yet another class win in their long career. Mike Fogarty and Podge New are the Class 2 winners in their 1600 Group N Toyota. And Donald Bones and Enda Shields take Class 7. Alwyn Spears and Tom Collins win Class 3. And the amazing Ernest McMillan, well into his 60s, and Desi McGlade, well into his 30s, take the small Group N class. Noel O'Sullivan and Don Robbie are the winners in Class 9, and John Folan and Keith Shepherd are the Class 5 winners. But others are not so lucky. Mr. Halyard and Mr. Dowling are in a bit of a tizzy. Pat and Ann Woods go walkabout here. John and Pat White make a great attempt at a pirouette, but there is to be greater drama. Despite the weather, Geraldine Byrne has been enjoying her weekend in Cork, videoing the progress of her husband in car number 64. Little does Damien Keenan know that Geraldine is about to capture one of the most dramatic incidents in the rally when the Castle Bellingham hotelier multiple rolls his Astra out of the rally. The fact that Damien and Desi walk out of the wreckage completely unharmed is again testament to the compulsory safety equipment required for rally cars.
Where's the co-driver? Oh, he's out.
As Damien and Desi know to their cost, a rally's never over until you cross the finish line. Now James and Ellen are about to have a hard stopper just minutes away from the champagne.
Easy right. 30. Flat left into fast right. Slight left. Shit. Flat right. You've got 3 miles to go. 30. Flat right over crest. 30. Turn 90 left.
They have a puncture. Can they drive off the stage without losing too much time?
40. You'll not lose a minute.
They did not lose a minute, but they lost 57 seconds, a close one. And finally, how is John Kenny's pace note technique progressing? Brilliant. Just brilliant.
And so, for the first time in Irish rallying history, the crowds await a Group N car as the outright winner of a Dunlop Tarmac Championship round. It's a great moment for James and Ellen's long-time supporters and a brilliant end to a season that's brought so much.
I think it's always nice to win, but to come first overall, not just in the class, the whole thing, I think is absolutely wonderful. Tremendous.
So just recount again the trophies that you've got this year.
Well, we've won the overall Group N Championship and the Dunlop Tarmac Series, and we've also come second overall in the championship, I believe, as runner-up. And here we've come first overall and first in Group N, so a few pots to go home with, I think.
Good smile about that one.
The old B seating in the Isle of Man, which we missed out on for a couple of years, and we eventually got it this year as well, so we're really pleased with that.
Well, a high to end the year on, but what of next year?
That's a $64 question, as they say. Hopefully all the association will continue, but it's too early to say what will happen yet.
Liam, that's undoubtedly the drive of your life.
Yeah, certainly. The hardest days rallying I ever put down. We started this morning with a 22-second advantage over Padder Hurston, and during the day when it got wet we couldn't see out the driver's side window, and the gap came down to 6 seconds. But when it got dry, then again we put on a charge, and I think we extended it now to something like 24 seconds.
To the victors, the spoils. Cullen and Morgan head the leaderboard, but Liam O'Callaghan and Pater Herson can be well pleased with their weekend's work. And well done too to Pete Doughty, the English driver who came fourth on his first visit to an Irish rally.
And in the Tarmac Championship, Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy had everything tied up by the Ulster Rally, but James Cullen and Ellen Morgan now move up to second place, the historic champions Mervyn Johnson and the junior champion Andrew Carney.